there, all my beautiful soul peeps. Angel of the Dawn, back with another message. Excuse me. This one is actually going to be a karmic situation message. I haven't done this one in a really long time, and I don't plan on making it a regular thing. But with the message that came out last night about it's going down for this weekend, for all of the energies, like that was the overall energy. And then today, a channeled message that I got was that like the dark entities, and I'm not saying like all karmics are like dark entities, but dark entities can work through karmic partners, and that doesn't just have to be like karmic partners for the divine masculine. That's just who I'm speaking of. And again, that doesn't make these people bad people. If you guys watch my channel, you know I've talked about how I've seen lower energies like come through my mom. You know, my mom, I feel like I think of her as an angel. So, but no, Pepper, come on, not now. But I am getting the feeling that this weekend, for whatever reason, it could have to do with all of the stuff that's going on, you know, with the planets and things and all the energies. But for whatever reason, I'm getting the messages that these lower level energies will be working through the karmics in divine connections, because we've been through such a time of clearing and healing, purging and realization that, excuse me, the divine, well, everybody has been clearing all of these energies and everything, but the divine masculines, you know, according to the readings that I've done lately, there's been a lot of transformation and a lot of healing. And so I feel like this weekend, with, like I said, with that message that came out for everyone last night, I feel like this weekend is a really pivotal point in the divine masculine's ascension process. And so even if it's not specifically a karmic intimate partner, because karmic partner could be friend, intimate partner, it could even be family. Again, like, you know, like I was saying with my mom, like she's been a karmic partner for me as far as, you know, lessons I had to learn with her, definitely 100%. So all that being said, I am going to focus the reading on divine masculines in a karmic partnership, but that may not be what comes out. But again, I feel like the dark energies are working through the karmic partners in order to try to tear down the divine masculines, make them question what they're feeling and what they're, you know, hearing from themselves, not just like thinking from an ego perspective, but like hearing from their intuition and from their soul. The karmic partners are causing them to, or wanting to cause them. I don't really feel like they're going to be effective, because this is all divinely guided. It's like the divine masculines, I feel like, because they've done their healing in so many areas and they've started to ascend to such a higher vibration, that it's just a last ditch attempt for the dark energies to try to keep them from ascension and trying to keep them from coming closer to union. And again, you know, that is gonna, hold on. The divine masculines could be having a hard time speaking their truth. And so again, with that being said, that's even more of the reason why I feel like the dark is honing in and focusing on the divine masculines right now, because they may be feeling it internally, but maybe not solid, like they may not know, you know, but they're leaning in the right direction. But because they're not yet, maybe they're still having trouble, you know, with their throat chakra and actually speaking the truth. I feel like that is, what is on my phone? Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, I feel like there is issues with the throat chakra and them speaking their truth. So, because they're not able to speak it yet, and because I feel like they may not feel really confident in like getting used to listening to their intuition, because I feel like that's very new, and a lot of them have started to move into their heart space, and I feel like that's very new. Oh, a bug just flew in my candle. But if you flew in, you can get out because that candle is not all the way to the side. So anyway, but yeah. Oh, see, things are distracting me from even getting this message out. Oh my goodness. Okay, focus, focus, focus. Close that drawer so I can't see my phone. The bugs I just can't help. But yeah, the dark energies are trying to distort the divine masculine's views, and keep making them feel insecure, keeping them questioning themselves, questioning whether they're doing the right thing. And again, this may not be conscious on the karmic partner's part. Like, oh, I don't know exactly how to explain it. If you guys watch Aluna Ash, she explains it great. Watch her videos, that'd be great. But it's just they can consciously know, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they consciously know that they're lower level energies, but a lot of times it's just your normal run of the mill people that, because of like blocks in the lower chakras, insecurities and things like that, the lower level energies are allowed to work through them, or able to work through them through those lower chakras. And that's how the lower energies attach, is through our insecurities. And then when they work through someone else, they attach to that person's like lower vibrational energies, their lower insecurities, lower chakras, and then that person effectively then and they do it this way because this person is close to you, and whether this is a family member, a friend, or an intimate partner, they do it because this person is close to you, in your environment, in your space, in your energy, and they have some sort of influence on you, or have had some sort of influence on you, generally because you're still in your lower chakras in some way, or you have some kind of blocks or something like that, and so they're able to play on those insecurities and those blockages. And I feel like that's what's happening is, the divine masculines have been doing a lot of clearing, and so it's like the lower level energies through the karmic partners, consciously or unconsciously, is trying to reestablish some of those blocks that the divine masculines have been working really, really hard to unblock. And like I said, I don't feel like they will be successful. I don't feel like the dark will be successful. I don't feel like the karmic partners will be successful, because I feel like the divine masculines have, if they haven't already, the energies of this weekend I feel like is really going to solidify it, about being in at least the level, at least high enough in their vibration to where they're not going to go back down here and let the karmic partners or whoever bring them back down to this level, because they've done too much work already. And to listen to whatever these people are saying is going, they will recognize and realize that that energy is going to bring them back into the same place. It's going to keep them on that karmic wheel. And if I don't remember what video it was yesterday that I used the dice to show the karmic wheel, but it's like, like if each one of these was, well, it doesn't even have to be a bucket. Like, just you know, okay, say you started this relationship, if this is an intimate partnership, if you started this relationship here on the one, you know, and you keep going around in this cycle, well, if you don't get off of that karmic wheel when you have that opening and that opportunity back at the one, like where you started from, because you got to complete a cycle to start a new cycle, or you stay in. Oh, hey, I got 2 dice for this one. You've got to complete a cycle, a full cycle, to start a new cycle, or you just keep going around and around and around and around and around in this same karmic cycle. So this, I feel like now, and like, well, we are in the weekend. Like, for some reason I was thinking it was Friday, probably because I couldn't sleep last night. I got 0 sleep, and so I've been awake since whatever time I woke up yesterday. So, but my energy's still like, woo. I don't know. I feel like, you know, they're at this opening, this like almost like a portal to jump out of, to get off this karmic wheel, but the karmic partners are trying to keep them on this karmic wheel. And like, okay, say this is an intimate partnership, and the karmic partner suffers from like codependency and lack of self-love, and like self-worth issues. So in essence, it's easy for the lower energies to talk in the karmic's ear, so to speak, and tell them, this is the relationship. You have to do everything you can to save this relationship. This is your partner. This is your life partner. You know, you're not going to get somebody better than this. You're not going to get somebody different. You know, you're not going to get anybody if you don't keep this one, or you're not going to have the life you want. Like, they're telling them all these things that's feeding into their insecurities. And so ultimately that's causing the karmic partners to cling and even to manipulate and to, like, I feel like there's projecting and deflecting, and this came up yesterday too. I don't remember. Anyway, doesn't matter. So there's projecting and deflecting and manipulation. I feel like emotional manipulation, and playing on the divine masculine's insecurities. Because remember, when you enter into a relationship, when it's good, you tell the other person all of the ways that everybody else has hurt you and all of your wounds, because ultimately you think that this new person is not going to stick a finger in those wounds because it's all happy and it's good and you're in the honeymoon phase. And so you give them every single bullet to shoot at you later. And let me tell you, they're gonna. You know, especially if it's a karmic situation, a karmic partner, which, you know, most situations are. But there's a lesson to be learned. So, in essence, it is to help you grow and learn, divine masculine. So, if you haven't learned the lessons, you will stay on this karmic wheel. And you will fall into the trap of whatever energies the karmic is trying to pull you down into. But I really feel like the group of divine masculines that I've been channeling and picking up on their energy, they've done enough healing to realize this opening and that, you know, this karmic cycle has completed, and so they're ready to jump off of one cycle and onto another cycle, and, you know, their higher level cycle. And again, I don't know if I put this out yet on a video or not. I can't remember, because I've done some videos that I haven't published yet that I'm kind of gathering up to put out several at a time, so I can't remember what videos I did what with, but crap, I lost it. Damn it, I felt like that was important. Oh, and I gotta reiterate, karmic partners are not bad, and it doesn't mean when I say move on to like a higher vibration or a different situation, that doesn't mean like they're moving on to a better person in general. from a karmic partner, that means they're moving on to a better vibrational match to them and their vibrational match. It has nothing to do with the characteristics or the qualities or the looks or any of that of the karmic partners. Nothing to do with that. So any insecurities that the karmic partner is bringing up about that, that is just in fact their insecurities. And they're projecting onto the divine masculine, like, matter of fact, I seen a meme that says, fall in love with souls and not faces. Well, that's true. I totally agree. But at the same time, I feel like things like that are actually used for spiritual manipulation sometimes. In order to, like, if the karmic partner's feeling insecure about their looks or about their weight or insecure about anything, then I feel like, they're coming up with sayings and memes and things like that that are like spiritually manipulating, if that makes sense, in such a, I don't want to say narcissistic, but in such a manipulative way, such a emotionally underhanded manipulative way, because there's manipulation, but then I just feel like using spiritual manipulation to coerce someone into doing something that's bad. That's low. I mean, I try not to judge, but well, actually, I guess it takes everybody to make up this world, and we all, if you guys have been on my channel, again, you've heard me talk about the cog system. And one day I'll get more into that. I think I did a video way early on about that. It's literally something me and my divine masculine come up with so many years ago, about us. And I actually had a channeled message come through sometime last year, but it was like late last year, and got more, or no. If I put that out early on my channel, that was sometime last year, maybe around this time, or maybe in the summer. I'm not sure. Sometime last year, I got a downloaded message, and I don't even know if I put all of that out, but it expanded the cog system that we had been talking about for years. And I got a message expanding on that whole scenario and that whole idea. So it was kind of crazy. And I've never even talked to him about that channeled message. He only knows what we talked about in the past. So anyways, now I forgot why I brought up the cog system. Anyways, okay, so I think I made my point about the situation. I do feel like it's something that's really going to need discernment, really going to need you to listen to your own self, divine masculines, listen to your intuition, and trust yourself. Trust that, not from an ego perspective that says, what are people going to think, what are people going to say, and I should, or, because anything that you should do, or you ought to do, that is somebody else's expectations, not yours. The shoulds and oughts, those are people placing their expectations on you, and not you living from your soul purpose and from your own guidance. And that comes from deep-seated programming, usually from our childhood. Like, we're programmed to, like, for instance, women in my generation, we were growing up to be the wife, and I mean, not necessarily, be barefoot and pregnant or anything, but like from the family I grew up in, it was still like, basically the man was king for the most part. Like, I didn't feel like my husband was king, but I also did kind of cater to him, quite a bit. Like, actually I did everything for him, besides work, and I did that sometimes. But that's the way I was raised. And I don't necessarily think that was the way he was raised, as far as that goes, but he was still raised in the male is like king. Like he was still raised in that, but he wasn't necessarily raised in um, somebody catering to him or doing for him. Um, which actually kind of makes a whole lot of sense now that I'm thinking about it, of maybe why he didn't understand and why that was maybe a block in our relationship, about how he didn't understand all of what I was doing for him because he had never seen it. That's not the way he grew up. His mom, his stepmom, she worked. Matter of fact, he was basically, always home alone. So he didn't have anybody around to caretake and do things for him. He did things on his own. So he wouldn't actually see that as like an act of love necessarily. So money, wow, I apologize. I'm having an epiphany on camera here. But I'm going to go ahead and put this out regardless, because I still feel like it's a powerful message that needs to come out. Regardless if I'm epiphanying all over the place. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. He didn't see all of the things that I did for him. I did out of love, because he grew up thinking money was everything, because both of his parents, all they did was work, and it was always for more money, more money, more money, more money, more stuff, more stuff, more stuff, more stuff. And his stepmom is very materialistic, and which in turn, I don't think his dad was, not really. Like, he's passed away, or passed over. I still, well, actually, I haven't heard from him in a little while, but I think he's now talking to my husband, my divine masculine. So I think he's taking turns, because he was talking to me like forever, and I was getting messages. He would even come through in my readings, and I would laugh because he's funny. But yeah, like, wow. I don't know how I didn't see that before, but okay, it's things like this that come up into our awareness that, like, I'm giving you a prime example, like live on camera, actually not live, but it might seem live when you're watching it, but live on camera about how the process works of, like, realization and healing, because that just really, I can't even explain. Like, it lifted a weight, it healed some things, like, and we haven't even lived together. Like, we've been separated off and on for 5.5 years. And even though we're not living together, like, that lifted such a weight and almost like a burden of why didn't he see what I was doing, and how much I loved him by all of the things that I was doing. Because granted, I wasn't the best housekeeper. I'll be the first one to rush in and tell you that. I can get into the cleaning mode, but if it's expected of me, then I don't want to do it. But, like, I did take care of the house, for the most part. And I cooked. I took care of our 2 kids. I did all of the doctor's visits, all the schools, all the PTA, all of the, I was PTA president for a while. That's Parent Teacher Association for y'all that don't know, because I know that it's called different things in other places. And, like, I was homeroom mom, and I went to all of the field trips. Like, and granted, I give it to him too. As a working father and husband, he tried to make it to as many of those things as he possibly could. I have to give him kudos for that. Actually, I have to give him kudos for a lot, because he's a damn hard worker, and he always, always, always worked and always had a job. That was what was inbred to him, and he fulfilled that duty wholly. And he was a good father and a good husband as far as he could be, as far as the programming. Just like I feel like I was a good wife and a good mother as far as I could be in the programming. And I feel like that's why we had to, this actually was a message. Oh, wow, I wasn't going to get into this. And I was going to pull cards and stuff, but I think this is just going to be a talk session, guys. Because I actually got a message the other day. I had 2 different messages about him and I's connection and, like, the future. And one of the messages was just about, like, him and I's connection, why we had to get together so young and live through all that we did, and then why we had to split up, and in order to come back together potentially later. And it was because we had to go through those situations. We had to be able to realize, like the things I mean, there's a lot of things I've realized about our connection over the last 25 years. And especially the first 19 that we actually lived together solid. And through that, like I said, there's been a lot of realizations for me and a lot of healing through the programming that I was subject to. A lot of the lack consciousness, the self-worth, abandonment issues, like from my real father. And, well, let's just say, if there's daddy issues, I might have you trumped, because I won't even get into all that. Well, no, I'll go ahead and tell you, because it's not going to make any sense if I don't. Like, when I was little, and, oh gosh, maybe I shouldn't say this. One day it's going to come out anyway. Okay, because my brother don't know that we don't have the same dad. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying all this on camera right now. And so, like, my mom, if she sees this, she's going to kill me. No, if my, anyway. So anyway, I was told that one man was my father, which was my brother's father. And then, come to find out, I think when I was around 4, I found out that another man was my father, and I met him, and then he was gone. Like, I didn't see him again until I was a teenager. And also when I was 4, the man that I was originally told was my father gave up his rights to me and my brother. So the man that my mother was marrying, this sounds so pain place, but so the man that my mother was marrying could adopt me and my brother. Okay, so that's 3 dads. Okay, so then move on, and when I was 17, 18, my mom and my adopted dad got divorced, and so now I have another stepdad. So that's 4 dads. So Father's Day, I just joke about it. I'm just like, ha. But what's really crazy is I felt the most fatherly connection with my father-in-law. Okay. And I really think that that's why, like, he comes to me and talks to me, or he did. Like I said, I don't think I've heard from him in a while. I really think that he's been trying to break through to his son, to my divine masculine. Because my divine masculine, he does not want to hear, or he didn't want to hear about anything supernatural or anything unseen, when we were still together. And so that was like a trigger point for him. And obviously because he has amazing gifts and abilities that he's been suppressing since he was a child, because he was probably programmed to do so. And I'm sure those are things that he is working through, through all of this. So anyways, we were put together, obviously, though we're twin flames, but we were put together when we were younger in order to go through those things, to be able to observe those things, and then split apart to heal from those things, because there was no way on earth we could have healed each other or even ourselves as long as we were still in that energy, because we were so deep-seated in our own childhood programming, our own bringing up. And so we had to branch out. We had to have different experiences that didn't look like what things were when we were growing up. And we had to come to new realizations and, heal a lot of old wounds. And although we did create some wounds also in the process, like when we split up, and I think it's because it's, the intense twin flame connection, and I'll tell you, it wasn't perfect the whole time we were together. We battled addictions off and on for many, many, many years, and actually we've battled addictions off and on, most of our relationship. Um, and even after, like when we split up, there were still addictions. And so uh, we had to split apart in order to heal and to learn and to grow, in order to be able to come back together as whole individuals, and to be able to be that divine couple that has been through that whole process. And I totally do not believe we are the only ones. I think there's more out there of us that have been together for a really long time, probably since, you could say, childhood, because we was 17 and 18 when we got together. um, but it's not talked about because, for one, the twin flame dynamic has been so contorted and twisted to suit everybody's egoic purpose. Like, I wouldn't, if I wasn't 100% sure, and this is from like my soul, not just because like I want to be with a certain person, because let me tell you, I have fought it off and on for years. Not even, and even before we split up, because when there was drug addictions back in the day, like there was times that I just wanted to freaking bail and just go, and I couldn't. And then even being split up, and even though shit hit the fan when we split up, I mean, shit hit the fan. It got bad. I won't even get into all that right now. One day maybe we'll write a book, but shit hit the fan. I mean, bad. But like I was gonna say, because it's such an intense connection, the opposite of really awesome with this energy is really bad, and we had that. And so we're healing from those dynamics in order to be able to come back together and talk about the old programming, the healing, and the new programming. Like, we'll be able to have that entire template. Whereas I feel like a lot of people, and I'm not saying that everybody has to be like that, or that you have to be like that to have a twin flame. Not at all. But I do feel like there's a lot of people that distort the twin flame in order to justify bad behavior, narcissism, abuse, neglect, any lower vibrational energies. A lot of people use the twin flame dynamic as a crutch in order to stay in their ego to get what they want from an egoic standpoint, not from a soul standpoint. Because let me tell you again, I fought this tooth and nail. He don't want it to be me. I don't want it to be him. Or, well, we didn't. I don't know where he stands. I've actually come to terms with, okay, that's who you are. If and when we come back together, we come back together. I'm just not fighting the process anymore like I used to. But it's like, I feel like if and when we do come back together, it will be that magical union that everybody talks about, because we'll have done the healing. But if everybody, and one day everybody will know every stinking thing that we have been through to get there, you'll know it's not a fucking romance or, Disney romance. By no means. It's traumatizing, but it's healing at the same time. But it took us a long time. Now, so there's people that's using the twin flame dynamic to justify staying in toxic relationships. And then I also feel like there is a lot of people out there that either want to be labeled a twin flame and want to think that they have this certain kind of, like, I don't even want to say they want this twin flame relationship. They want that label, but they've romanticized it and glorified the situation to where now every time somebody meets somebody new, this is their twin flame. And that's just not the case. I don't care, and, if my divine masculine ever hears this may be hurting to him, but at the same time, I know that he's going to be able to say the same thing about other people that he's been with since we split up. I have had intense connections with other people. And, even to the point of, um, well, and it could be because I'm an extreme empath, but like not necessarily with telepathy, but definitely being able to know their feelings, know their thoughts, and emotions, and be able to read them really, really well, and really feel them from a soul perspective. But it never was the same. Although, on numerous occasions, I did try to make it that way because I did not want it to be my divine masculine. I did not want it to be my husband. Not after everything we'd been through. Um, and now that I've healed a lot, like I'm not definitely not saying like I'm all healed, because I don't think we totally completely healed, because I feel like we learn through healing, and we're constantly learning. To cease to learn is to cease to exist. And so I feel like though I have done a lot of healing, especially when it comes to this relationship, and he probably has too, but I can only speak from my perspective. And so I feel like I can now see this from an objective point of view, and again realize that it is what it is. I'm not trying to fight it, but I'm not trying to draw it in, because it's so crazy, because I fought it for, like I said, off and on for years, especially these last five and a half years. I really, really fought it. Well, no, not 5.5 years, about 4.5 years, because all last year, once I did come across the twin flame dynamic, then I realized what we were, because it never made sense. Like, I knew we had always called ourselves soulmates, and I knew, and everybody thought I was crazy from the get-go because of how toxic and crazy things got when we split up. Everybody thought I was crazy because I insisted that I knew we would get back together. And I didn't know when, but I knew we would get back together. And I always, I kept hearing, and at the time I didn't know it was like my guidance or my higher self. Like, all of this is, so not so new, but like I'm just now starting to pay attention. And so I'm just now listening to myself and realizing that I've known this all along, but it wasn't until I came across the twin flame dynamic, like on the internet, that all of this made sense. It made sense why I was getting that message that we would get back together eventually, and that we would be in a different, better place. Because it sure didn't make sense when it was coming out of my mouth and I was feeling it in my heart, but my mind, my ego kept saying no, I don't want him. Get him away from me. It can't be him. He's, I probably call him every name in the book, and probably made up a few more. I don't know, because shit got really bad. But like I said, then I found the twin flame, and I'm like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. And then when I got to know more about it, and I realized that it was about this healing process and everything, and it was actually my daughter that, like what I was saying earlier about how we had to split up in order for, that we had to split up. My daughter was actually the one that told me, and it's been a couple of years ago, but our kids are also a part of this, and that's a whole nother story that I'll talk about in another video, because this one's probably getting long. And so I'm going to try to actually wrap this up really quick, because I didn't mean for this to just be a talking video. I actually meant this to be a karmic situation video. So anyway, my daughter a couple of years ago actually told me, she's like, Mom, we really had to, this had to happen. We had to split up. We had all become too, and she used the word codependent. And like, again, things can resonate at a certain level, but it don't fully resonate. Because literally, it was within this last 6 months or so, maybe even the year, that this all fully started to resonate. And then I got that message the other day that even elaborated on it further back. But she was talking about from like the time she was talking about how codependent we had all become on each other, all four of us, because literally our kids we didn't keep them from going out, but we had so much fun together, and we had become so complacent. We weren't growing outside of hanging out. Like, we'd sit at home and watch TV, we'd have meals together, I'd take the kids to school, We would do football practice and football games and things like that. Go to the lake, but everything that we didn't do anything without our kids. And basically our kids didn't do anything without us. And it wasn't because we told them not to. Literally, their friends would call and want them to stay the night or go do something. And our kids would literally look at us and mouth to us, say no, because they didn't want to go. They were totally comfortable just hanging out at home with us because that's how close-knit we were, but how complacent we got and how we weren't growing apart. We were very connected because of this intense spiritual bond that we have, and obviously because we're family, but we have an intense spiritual bond, all four of us. And my daughter was the one that, brought it to my attention that is why we had to split up, because we all had to grow individually. And oh my gosh, looking back at where we were and then looking at where we're all at now, like I said, my divine masculine, I don't really know exactly where he's at. Like, I get a lot of energetic things and intuitive things, but as far as like to have confirmation of, specifically what he's going through and where he's grown and all of that, I don't know, because we don't really talk, and we especially don't talk about any of this. But as far as my kids go, they have both grown, even in their spiritual sense, even when they don't even like admit it or say that that's what it is. Like, they will say things that's so freaking profound and so beyond their years that it blows my freaking mind. But they always have, but it's so much more intense now. Like, they put things into perspective for me in such a major way. So anyways, all that being said, basically that's it, I guess. We had to separate because we were stuck in this lower level programming, and we had to get out of it. We all had to learn and grow and go our separate ways. Like, we were flown to the four corners of the earth, which actually my son went with my divine masculine, so maybe we were only at the three corners of the earth. Because my daughter went off to college. I moved, and my son moved with me first, and then he went back with my divine masculine and all of that. But so anyways, I guess that's all I got, guys, because I lost my train of thought, and this wasn't the video I intended to put out. But hopefully this will help somebody out there to realize that sometimes there's deception in this twin flame journey, and that definitely, like I said, the karmics right now, the karmic energies, not necessarily a person, because like I said, some of them it's not conscious, some of them it is, but it's really the lower level energies that are working through them, regardless of whether they're conscious of it or not, and they're playing on any insecurities that we have. So the more that we heal, the less that they have any say or any control. So stand in your truth, stand in your power, know that what is on the inside is the truth. Don't let your ego fuck that up. And hopefully this makes sense. Because I know I got off on a tangent. I know I started talking about karmics and divine masculines, and then I got off into my own situation, and I don't even know how I actually got off into my own situation, because I've not really been ready to talk too much about that. Like, I have talked a little bit about it. I've really told you guys probably more now than I ever have. Maybe. Honestly, I don't know, because I really forget the things that I say. But you'll be able to tell if I'm telling the truth, because you can go back and watch the other ones and see if it matches. So, anyways, what, Pepper? I guess that's all I'm going to put out. I'll probably actually do, I don't know if I'll do a karmic situation video at this time. I might just do a divine masculine. We'll see. But actually, since I've been running on no sleep, I might go take a nap first. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anyways, I love you guys, and I am sending you guys so very much love and healing. Stay in your truth, stay in your power, and this is for everybody, not just divine masculines, because it's not just the divine masculines that these energies are after. It's everybody. And I feel like specifically twin flames. Like, it's everybody, but like they're gunning hard for twin flames. Matter of fact, before I turn this off, I'll just give another little bare my soul right now. Um, like this morning, I had a huge blow up with my daughter over absolutely nothing. Like, I was bawling, I was in tears. I didn't even think she liked me anymore. And it was all over some stupid misunderstanding. She literally fell back to sleep. I thought she was ignoring me. It hurt my feelings. And it all got blown so far out of proportion. That's the ways that the dark can work through us, because at that time, me and my daughter was in lower vibrational energies. And so, thank goodness that I know she's been doing healing as well as I have, and she's been going through a lot of purging as well as I have. And so within, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, maybe an hour at the most, we were back up into a higher vibrational energy, and we were, on good loving terms again. But it was just crazy because there was no reason for it, but it was just the way things played out. And I got butthurt, and that was just it. And I was just very upset. I've been emotional off and on for the last few days, and I guess I didn't have any release or something. I don't know, because I just took things way out of proportion, and it was solely my fault. And I totally take responsibility for that. And I told her that. I'm like, I so apologize. So apologize. So anyways, all that being said, it's not leaving anybody unaffected. They're trying to take anybody that they can take. Nobody is immune. And it can work through anybody and anything. And see, this morning I thought it was working through my daughter, when actually it may have been working through me and my insecurities of my situation. So don't let that happen. Don't let it. And if it does, because again, we're not immune, if it does, try to raise your vibration back up as quickly as possible. That's my best advice. Try to do whatever it takes to get back in a higher vibrational energy. And again, I'm sending you guys so very much love. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for listening if you do. And yeah, this is Angel of the Dawn saying peace, love, and light out. Till next time.